the alderman didn't ask, and if the IOC didn't tell, and if the 2016 didn't tell, that's not our problem, okay?
Well, what's your opinion? Okay, go ahead.
So my point is this: it is not news to us, the folks in No Game Chicago, who are just citizens who have just access to the internet, about this blank check issue. It wasn't news to us. We've been talking about it since January. Now, this is the situation we're in. The mayor wishes to sign a blank check. Will the city go along with it?
All right, we're going to take a brief pause right now. We'll come right back and pick up on this discussion right after this in just a moment. Welcome back to NewsViews, talking today about the 2016 Summer Olympics. Good idea or not for the city of Chicago, with Alderman Joe Moore and Tom Tresser with No Game Chicago. Now, Tom, let me pick up where we left off here, because what I wanted to hear your opinion on here, regardless of who you feel is to blame for this, do you take any confidence from those who would say, and it's the bid committee who's saying this, hey, we got this covered.
Yeah,
we can get insurance plans that will not leave the taxpayers on the hook for this.
I have zero confidence. This is an insurance salesman selling us a policy, a shiny auto. We can't look under the hood. The plan's not out there. There's nothing to inspect. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of Enron accounting. If you keep the expenses off the balance sheet, you make a profit. Just last night at a public meeting, Lori Healy, the president of the bid, said that the $86 million for the Michael Reese Hospital site is not going to be on the ledger sheet for the Olympic expenses. So if you take that off, then of course you can make a profit. Now, she said the reason why that is so is because the city was going to buy this property anyway. So come on, folks. We should have an honest accounting of all expenses related to this project. And I agree with the alderman, there should be some kind of oversight body that's not in the pocket of the mayor.
Some folks even made an issue of the fact that there were private meetings with the alderman first. It's not illegal to do that, obviously, to have those kind of meetings. But are you hearing anything at this point that would make you say in a public setting, when you get around to these hearings, that, yeah, okay, the questions are being answered to the point of where I'm agreeable with this?
Well, the mayor and his people have now agreed that there will be more public hearings and that they will need to seek city council authorization. At first, they agreed with Tom that no further authorization was required. But the fact is, it's very clear when you look at the ordinance and you look at the legislative debate surrounding the ordinance that the clear intent of the city council was just to authorize that $500 million, at $500 million, not a penny more. Now we're going to go back and we're going to have hearings. But in my opinion, I feel we need to have more than hearings. We need to have an independent review. We need to have financial experts. We need to have experts in construction who will take a fresh look at what the 2016 Olympic Committee and the Daley administration have put forward, so that we have someone with independent expertise analyzing this, taking the word of the mayor in the 2016 Olympic
Seems like we're kind of a little late in the game for this, or are we not? I mean, for heaven's sakes, in October, the IOC is supposed to make their decision as to which city is going to get the games.
and that's why we can't wait. And one of the things that I was very disturbed about was the fact that Mr. Ryan, the head of the 2016 committee, said that it'll be maybe 60 days before he can bring this proposal to the city council. I agree with you, that's too late. And if we get to the point where it's too late to have a thoughtful and insightful and complete analysis of the city's figures, then I'm prepared to vote against the Olympics.
Tom Tresser, you've been in this issue a long time, I know, and have been researching it for a while. Is the main issue for you what we've kind of been talking about here, that the public might be left holding the bag, or no? Is there really something much more than that?
It's a larger issue. It's important to get that out there. It's about what is the city for? What is your vision for the future of your city? How to make a city prosperous? Now, this mayor has a vision that the way to make the city prosperous is by having parties, putting Ferris wheels down by the lakefront, inbound tourism. That seems to be the one-note solution to making our city prosperous. I take a different view. Let's put the economic progress out into all the neighborhoods where the folks live. It's a different path to prosperity. I also say, let me say, that unless you have kids who can read at grade level, you're not going to have a city that will prosper. And the #1 priority for me as a as a citizen, as a former member of LSC, my wife was a school teacher, as was my mom, is having smart kids. That's where we think we should be putting our money.
Let me ask you then, to answer those who would say, well, wait a minute here, the Olympics have the potential to do some of that, to bring economic development, more economic development into the city, to bring worldwide attention to the city of Chicago that perhaps it wouldn't have received otherwise, to perhaps have infrastructure projects that would occur leading up to 2016 that wouldn't occur otherwise, and would provide jobs in the sense of all those things being done. Well, what's your answer to that?
Well, sure, if you build a bunch of stadiums and knock them down, you will have temporary jobs, no question. But here's a study. Now, let me just say, we at No Games are just individual volunteers. The folks who should have been rigorously looking at this as our civic architecture, you know, the Civic Federation and the people have the staffs. But this is a report by a professor who studied all these things that you're just saying, and he basically says the economic benefits from these games and projects are vastly overstated, and the benefits are very under-delivered. This is an academic that's looked at all these things. So yeah, if you construct a bunch of stadiums and then tear them down, you will have jobs for the nonce. But the way to have long-lasting economic benefit, build a new L line, give us more teachers, more schools, more parks. Don't destroy the parks we have. That's how you make a city great.
Alderman, do you see in the plan as it's proposed right now any of those questions answered?
Not yet, and certainly not given the fact that we now have this open-ended liability. You know, my preliminary support for the Olympics was based on the fact, on the promise, that taxpayer dollars would not be involved. I think, I can't go as far as Tom. I think there is a potential for the Olympics to be an economic engine for the city, but it has to be done the right way, and I'm not very comfortable with the way it's been handled. We need more transparency. We need to have everything out on the table. We need to have independent analysts, whether it's the academic here or Civic Federation and other independent bodies, to take a look at what the statistics that the mayor and the Olympic Committee are providing, so that we can rest assured that this is not something that's going to bankrupt the city.
Is there, I'll ask you the same question I asked Tom earlier then, is there some aspect of this plan, private insurance or otherwise, that you would feel comfortable with if they said, you know it's going to be open-ended if the city accepts this, open-ended financial responsibility, that's what the IOC says they have to sign. Is there some kind of private insurance plan or package here that would say, okay, you know, I think I'm comfortable?
I can't answer that question because it doesn't exist at this time. And until they put forward something that could stand up to independent review and independent scrutiny, I can't support the Olympic bid.
All right, Alderman Joe Moore, Tom Tresser, great to have both of you here today, and pointing out as part of this discussion, of course, two viewpoints here in what is an ongoing debate here in the city of Chicago. We'll be hearing from other voices as well. Great to have you here. Thanks for joining us on NewsViews on this Sunday. We hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm Alan Kraszewski. Let's get back to the news.